Dear students, in this video lecture, we are going to have a look at best of the questions that have been ever asked from the topic of percentage, because students often complain that this topic percentage is too simple and their general tendency is to avoid. But today or in this video lecture, you would be looking at the best, or you can say the most difficult of the questions that have been asked over the years. So these questions are not going to be simple. So let me put it straightforward. Or even if they are though you'll get to learn a few shortcuts. So let's have a look at first set of questions. So here is the first one. A% of A plus B% of B is equal to 2% of AB. Then what percentage of A is B? So let's see. So what is given? A percentage of A. So let's write it that way. A percentage means A upon 100. So A percentage of A plus B percentage of B. So similarly you can write it this way. B percentage, that means B upon 100 of B is equal to 2 percentage, that means 2 upon 100 into AB. So this is what is given to us. So 100 can be taken as common and cancelled. So all these hundreds will eventually get cancelled. And from here you can see that A square plus B square is equal to 2AB. So if you bring this 2AB, if you switch its sides, so this would become A square plus B square minus 2AB is equal to 0. And what is this? This is a standard expansion of A minus B. So this is A minus B whole square. And this is given, or this comes out to be equal to 0. So from here, you can see that A is equal to B. So both are equal. So if two things are equal, this is A, this is B, and they are equal. So what is the question? What percentage of A is B? So B is what percentage of A? They are equal, 100%. So let's move to the next one. If B equals 10% of A and C equals 20% of B, so you can assume some dummy values. So let's assume A is equal to 100, because then taking any percentage of 100 is very easy. So what is being said? B equals 10% of A. So if you are assuming A is equal to 100, so as per this assumption, B should be assumed to be equal to 10% of A. That means 10, and C equals 20% of B. So C equals 20% of 10. So that is equal to 2. So question is, then which one of the following equals 30% of C? So what is 30% of C? 30% of C, 30 by 100 into 2. So this is 0.6, 0.6. Now you have to express this number as some percentage of A, because all the four options are such. So question is 0.6 is what percentage of A? A is 100. So 0.6% is the answer. Because if somebody asks X is what percentage of 100? So X is what percentage of 100? So if you see properly, answer will be X. Why? If you try to solve this, you are going to write X is what percentage of 100? So X upon 100 into 100. Then after a few seconds, you will realize that X is the answer. So 0.6 is what percentage of A? That is 0.6 is what percentage of 100? So 0.6 is what percentage of 100? Answer is 0.6 itself. Now let's have a look at this one. Two students appeared at an examination. One of them secured 9 marks more than the other, and his marks was 56% of the sum of their marks. So two students, let's call them A and B. So one of them secured 9 marks more than the other, and his marks was 56% of the sum of their marks. So assume that the sum of their marks is 100x. So assume total marks obtained by these two students is 100x. Then one of them scored 56% of the sum of their marks. So let's assume A scored 56x. That means 56% of the sum. That means the remaining was scored by B. So B scored 44x. Now what is being given? The difference. One of them secured 9 marks more. So 9 marks more. So this guy scored more. So you can say 56x minus 44x is equal to 9. So from here you can see that 12x is equal to 9, or x is equal to 9 by 12. So that is equal to 3 upon 4. Question is the marks obtained by them. So marks obtained. So answer 56x and 44x. So 56 into 3 by 4 and 44 into 3 by 4. So 14 fours are 56. So this is 42 and 11 fours are 44. So 11 into 3, 33. So final answer is 42 and 33. So let's have a look at this one. Tina, Meena, Gina, Leena and Beena are 5 sisters, aged in that order. Aged in that order, that means Tina being the eldest. So 5 sisters, Tina, Meena, Gina, Leena and Beena. So Tina is the eldest. So this is given in an order. So B is the youngest. Now what next? Each of them had to carry a bucket of water from a well to their house. Fine. So each of these sisters is carrying a bucket of water. Their bucket's capacity were proportional to their ages. So what is meant by this statement? That their bucket capacities were proportional to their ages. That means the eldest is carrying the heaviest bucket, or the bucket having the maximum volume. So let's assume their buckets. So the elder, the more the age, the more water you are carrying. So bucket size is decreasing. So this is what is meant. So bucket size is decreasing depending on the age. Now what? While returning, equal amount of water got splashed out of their buckets. So equal amount of water is getting splashed out of their buckets. Equal amount. So same amount. So now the question is, who lost maximum amount of water as percentage of the bucket capacity? So from the diagram itself, it is obvious that since everybody is losing equal amount, that means if the first sister is losing 100 ml, the other is also losing 100 ml itself. But the volume of the bucket is different for different sisters. So you can see this sister is carrying smallest bucket, and from that smallest bucket same quantity is spilling out. So in terms of percentage, this sister has lost the maximum water that she was carrying. B, that means Beena. Now let's have a look at this question. Peter got 30% of the maximum marks in an examination and failed by 10 marks. However, Paul, who took the same examination, got 40% of the total marks and got 15 marks more than the passing marks. So what were the passing marks in the examination? So let's assume the full marks to be equal to 100x. So as per this question, Peter got 30% of the maximum marks. So this is the maximum marks. So Peter, he scored 30x, and what? He failed by 10 marks. So he failed by 10 marks. That means he could not achieve the pass marks. So plus 10, had he achieved 10 more marks, his marks would have become equal to the pass marks, because he has failed. So what is being said about Paul? Paul, who took the same examination, got 40% of the total marks and got 15 marks more than the passing marks. So the easiest way to visualize this. So one person is scoring 30%, the other is scoring 40%. One is fail, the other is pass. That means passing mark must lie somewhere in between. See, I am not saying it lies exactly in between, but somewhere in between 30% to 40%. Because one person has failed, the other is pass. So pass mark is between these two marks. Now what do we know? Peter has failed by 10 marks. So this gap is of 10 marks, and Paul got 15 marks more than the passing marks. So this gap is of 15 marks. So in terms of percentage, you can say that 10% of full marks. 10% of full marks. Why 10%? Because this gap is 10%. So 10% of full marks should be equal to 10 plus 15. So 25 marks. So from here, full marks is equal to 250, because 10%. So what is 100%? 100% means something referring to itself. So 100% of full marks. So 10 times. So 250 marks. So full marks is 250. So what is pass marks? So pass marks is equal to 30% of full marks plus 10, because keeping in reference the marks scored by Peter. So Peter scored 30% and still failed by 10 marks. So if somebody wants to calculate the full mark, pass marks, so first calculate this 30% of full marks plus 10. So what is full marks? So this is equal to 250. So 30% of 250 plus 10. So 75 plus 10. So that is equal to 85. Now let's have a look at this question. On a planet Farjistan, a new term percentage has been introduced in place of percentage. So while percentage is per 100, percentage is per 125. So what will be the percentage marks obtained by a student in Farjistan if his percentage of marks is 60? So let's understand what is being conveyed here. So what is meant by percentage? If we say 23% of x, so basically we are referring 23 by 100 of x. That means if we break x into 100 parts, then we are referring to 23 such parts. So 23 parts out of 100. So our mathematics is based upon referring something out of 100. So on a distinct planet Farjistan, so instead of basing their calculation on 100, you can say that they think in terms of percentage. That means they first divide this thing into 125 parts, and then they will tell you that out of 125 parts, how many parts have you picked. So the question is, something which appears to be 60% on Earth will be equivalent to how many percentage or percentage on that planet? Now there are two ways to solve this question. Now think of a number which is divisible by both 100 and 125. So think of a number which is divisible by both 100 and 125. So 500 for example. So let's think in terms of Earth's mathematics and the mathematics of this new planet. So somebody on Earth thinks he has scored 60% marks. That means how many marks out of 500? So 60% of 500. So that is equal to 300. So he has scored 300 marks out of 500. So in Farjistan, what will they do? So they will divide 500 into 125 parts. That means each part equivalent to 2. So each part is equivalent to 2. So this guy has scored 300 marks. So you can say 300 marks will be equal to 75 units. And below there are 125 units. So in terms of percentage, he will say that he has scored 75 percentage. 75 percentage. So this was the logical way to think. But what can be the shortcut? The shortcut can be if 100% is written as 125%, because something which is 100% on Earth is 125% on that planet. So something which is 60% on Earth is equivalent to what percent on the other planet. So this proportionality will be maintained. So if you solve from here, x comes out to be 125 into 60 divided by 100. So 5 by 4. So 15 fives are 75. Same answer. But this time you can do it quickly. Now let's see this one. In a maternity center, 5% of all the childbirth cases result in twins. What is the approximate percentage of twins out of total children born? So please remember, 5% of the childbirth cases result in twin. So let's understand. So let's suppose that 100 expecting mothers were admitted. So 100 mothers got admitted. So out of these 100 mothers, 5% are going to give birth to twins. So 95% normal, that means one child. They are going to give birth to one child. The remaining 5% are going to give birth to twins. So 100 mothers. So 95 mothers going to give birth to one child each. So 95 children will be born this way. And how many? 5 mothers, twins. So 5 into 2, 5 mothers. Each mother is going to give birth to twin. Twin means 2. So this way 10 children are going to take birth. So what is the total number of children? 105. So out of 105, how many are twins? We have to calculate the approximate percentage of twins. So total children that are born, so that is 105. So out of these 105, 10 are twins. So this percentage is what we have to calculate. So let's see. So 2 and 21. So 200 divided by 21. So this should be equal to 9 point something. So if you will calculate this comes very near to be equal to 9.5. You can see obviously this is near to 9. This is the correct answer. Now let's see this one. Class B has 50% more students than class A. Number of girls in class A is equal to the number of boys in class B, the percentage of girls is the same in both classes. What percentage of the student group are boys? So good question. So let's see. So no concrete value is given. So we are just being said that there are two classrooms. So let's assume them A and B. So it's already given class A and class B. So A and B. So what do we know? Class B has 50% more students than class A. See, in the question, no concrete data. That means it's not given concretely that these many students are there in class A or that many are there in class B. Still, we are supposed to solve this question. So you can take dummy values. So till now we have the habit of assuming x, and then we see eventually these x gets cancelled out. So in these kind of questions, the dummy values do not affect the final answer. So why not choose convenient dummy values? So it is given that class B has 50% more students. So assume class A, there are total 100 students, and in class B 50% more. So 150 students. You can assume total. So what is given? Number of girls in class A is equal to number of boys in class B. So let girls and boys. So number of girls here, number of girls in class A. So this is equal to the number of boys in class B. So number of boys in class B. So these two numbers are equal. So out of 100, X are girls. So here in class B, out of 100, out of 150, X are boys. So remaining must be girls. So these many girls. Similarly here, boys how many? 100 minus X. Now what is being said? The percentage of girls is same in both classes. So percentage of girl in section A, X upon 100 into 100%. This is the percentage of girls in section A. This is said to be equal to the percentage of girls in section B. So this must be equal to this much. So 100% cancels. So this 2, 3. So let's solve for x. So if you cross multiply, 3x is equal to 300 minus 2x. So 5x is equal to 300. X is equal to 60. So x comes out to be equal to 60. Question is, what percentage of student group are boys? So total students, how much? 100 plus 150, so 250. Number of boys, x is equal to 60. So here 100 minus x, 40 plus here x, 60. So 60 plus x, 100. So question is, boys are what percentage of the entire group? So required percentage, 100 is what percentage of 250? So 100 by 250 into 100. So 2, 5, so 40%. So let's have a look at this one. The number of girls appearing for an admission test is twice the number of boys. If 30% of the girls and 45% of the boys get admission, the percentage of candidates who do not get admission is equal to what? So please remember, we have to calculate the percentage of candidates who do not get admission. Now what is being said? The number of girls appearing is twice the number of boys. So girls, boys. So number of girls twice. So assume 200 and 100. 30% of the girls, so 30% of the girls, they get admission, and 45% of the boys, they also get admission. So let's say Total admission. So how many people get admissions? So total admissions, 30% of 200. So 60, 45% of 100, 45. So that is equal to 105. So what percentage of students? Percentage who got admission. So total students 300. So 105 out of 300. So 105 is what percent of 300? So 35%. So 35% people got admission, whereas we have to calculate who do not get admission. So percentage who did not get admission. Did not get admission will be equal to what? 35% have got admission. So that means the remaining 65% did not get admission. Okay, now let's see this one. In a class, 60% of the students are boys, and in an examination, 80% of the girls scored more than 40 marks. So maximum marks is 150. If 60% of the total students scored more than 40 marks in the same exam, what is the fraction of boys who scored 40 marks or less? How many students are there? It is not mentioned, and this is a question related to percentage. So take some dummy value which is convenient. So assume number of students to be equal to 100. So total 100 students. So these 100 students have to be divided into boys and girls. 60% of the students are boys. So out of these 100, 60 are boys and remaining 40 are girls. Now what is being said? 80% of the girls scored more than 40 marks. So scoring more than 40 marks is an event. So let's assume scoring more than 40 marks is passing. So basically 80% of the girls passed. So 80% of the girls have passed. 60% of the total students have passed. So total pass 60% of 100. 60% of the total students. Total girls passed. So 60% of 100 is 60. So total girls passed 80% of 40. So 80% of 40, 8 for the 32. So total 60 students have passed. Out of these 60, 32 are girls. So it means number of boys who passed is equal to 60 minus 32. So this comes out to be equal to 28. Question is, what is the fraction of boys who scored 40 marks or less? So basically, what is the fraction of boys who failed? So 28 passed, 60 are studying. So number of boys or fraction of boys who failed. Fraction of boys who failed. So total 60. So something by 60, something means what? How many failed? 32 failed. So both these are multiples of 4. So 8 by 15. Now let's see this one. The ratio of number of male and female journalists in a newspaper office is 5:4. The newspaper has two sections, political and sports. If 30% of the male journalists and 40% of the female journalists are covering political news, what percentage of the journalists in the newspaper is currently involved in sports reporting? So understand what is the meaning of the question. So in a certain newspaper office, Male and female are in the ratio 5:4. So this is a question of percentage. Exact value is not given, so you can assume dummy values. Male and female ratio 5:4. So you can assume male 500 and hence female 400. Now what next? So newspaper has two sections, political P, sports S. Political P, sports S. That means some male work in political section, some in sports section, same for female. 30% of the male journalists cover political news. So 30% of this are covering political. So 30% of 500, 150. So 150 here, that means 350 here. What about females? 40% of the female journalists are covering political. So 40%. So 40% of 400, 160. So that means remaining 240 here. What is the question? What percentage of the journalists in the newspaper is currently involved in sports reporting? So how many are reporting sports? So this plus this, they are reporting sports. So sports reporters. So sports reporters, how many? 350 plus 240, so that is equal to 590. So percentage of sports reporters. So this is what we have to calculate. So that will be equal to 590 out of total. How many reporters? 900 reporters. So 590 is what percentage of 900? So this 100 and this 100 will get cancelled. So basically 590 by 9. So let's solve here. So 590 divided by 9. So how much this comes out to be equal to? So 6, because 9 6 are 54, 40. So very near to 64 point something, 36, 64.44. So very near to, because approx has been asked. 65%, because this comes out to be equal to 64.44%. So approximately 65%.